And it's Saturday night, y'all. It's Saturday night. And we're going live, y'all. But we're going to show you something tonight. So the title is, do you live on the edge or do you read the instructions? And I know some of us, you know, we live life on the edge. And when we first, hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Gil from the Relationship Refuge.
Mwah. When we first got married, we were 21. And every time we had something that had to be put together, I'm like, forget the instructions. I'm just going to put this thing together and figure it out as we go. And that's the same thing we both used to do. But we're going to show you something that we're putting together and explain to you why we no longer practice that mindset.
So this is unrehearsed.
It's live, y'all. It's live.
I was just told we doing this, so I don't know how this is going to go. So we going to just follow along because...
So join us. Come on in, share. Tell all the people to join us.
So just like Renee was describing, when we first got married, we actually had, my mom used to have me do these little tasks. So if you ever put a piece of furniture together or like a ready to assemble piece, like from one of the big box stores or something like that. I
think what you put together was a spreader.
Because I remember when I first tried it or when we first got married, I would put stuff together and I would do something like this. Maybe you've done this, but this is what I used to do. You see the instructions, right? And I would just do this. I would prop it up like right there. And as long as I can see just that picture or the picture on the box, that's all you need, right? Right?
Well,
that's all you need.
You think you just need a picture, an example, but you also need instructions.
So what happened was I would just put it together based on the picture. And what would happen is sometimes I would have a few screws left over, or I would have a couple pieces.
If you put something together and you had leftover pieces, put that in the chat.
So when I put those pieces together or put the item together when it was all done, said and finished, sometimes the door wouldn't work the right way, or the piece that was supposed to be a swinging door or anything like that.
Sometimes they even be upside down.
Yeah, it would be upside down, or it's like, well, that just don't look right. But after a while, I got tired of having spare pieces, spare parts, and other things. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this, the instructions, I'm going to open it up. I know this sounds crazy, y'all, because you can see, just like in this little piece we get ready to put together right now, you see this little piece and it has all these little pieces and screws and parts and all that. I'm going to lay them out. I would read the instructions now. I would lay the pieces in parts. Well, this is going to take a little bit of time, so we may not finish it. But I would lay the pieces out, make sure I had everything, and then go from there. So that's what we're going to do with this piece. This new item my wife bought. I know that delivery service, when you buy stuff online and that delivery service, does that come to your house?
Because when this came, I said, ooh, that's a Gil project. That is not. If it's more than 4 pieces, if you don't put together more than 4 pieces, then, and with no tools and no instructions, put that in the chat, because I'm a 4 parts, no instructions kind of person, as long as it's only 4 parts. But the more parts there are, the more you have to make sure you read the instructions.
So what we did was, when she got this in, and like I said, she just told me we're putting this together. So I'm doing this live. So I'm gonna show you what I do and how I do it. When my wife gives me, you ever have a honey-do list? You know, even you ain't even got to be married for that. If you got a spousal to-do list or a significant other list.
I like honey-do because you don't have to be married to have a honey-do list.
So I lay the instructions out just like you just seen me lay it out.
Put them out.
And when you get a box of pieces and a box of stuff, you know, you got bags of stuff and little connectors and pieces
and you know what? Just like in real life, we know what this is going to be because we purchased it. And so many times we think that if we just look at the picture, we can figure it out. You're kind of trying to figure out, well, what is this? I wonder what it's going to be. Well, everything has a pre-designated end goal, and that comes from the manufacturer. And so we're going to tell you what this is. So Gil is taking everything out, And
So-
this is really what he does.
So when you think about that, think about it in the context of your marriage. When you are actually
You got to work and talk. You can't
have,
talk. You gotta
I
do
am.
that.
I'm doing both. I'm doing both. I'm multitasking, y'all. So when you
Let me
have
help you open. I can be
no,
your
no,
assistant.
you just be good
Okay,
looking.
I will be
just
watching the camera. Hey, you guys, if you guys are here, please share. Get some friends on here with us. We're gonna be doing this each Saturday.
Not putting furniture together.
No, but we figured we were gonna take you on a journey with us and show you the things that we do versus sitting down because we are. Guess what, y'all? Our podcast is back. We're on every podcasting platform. We actually did our first episode for our podcast this June, and we have some of our really good friends. So look for that podcast to come out on Tuesday. And it's on we are Rich Relationship Refuge with Gil and Renee. We're on every podcasting platform. Please check us out. And it's going to be a really good conversation because we think it's important that we include all of our friends and all the people that we know to be a part of our Rich Relationship Refuge community.
And you know what? And the good part about when you're putting stuff together, the reason why you want to do kind of something like what I'm doing right now is because...
You want to assess?
Well, and you can put this in the context of your relationship because when you're putting stuff together or when you're having stuff, you want to make sure you got all the pieces and parts first. But then you also want to make sure you have everything you need and same thing. So I got all my pieces and my parts laid out. And this is not that bad. And that's the point I was getting at.
It looked a lot scarier
Inside
than
the
it is.
box, when you just look at the instructions, something may seem very intimidating. Something may seem very difficult. But when you look at what's in the box and it's all packed up and it's all boxed up, you're like, oh my Lord, how am I going to do this? Well, once you lay out the pieces and the parts, you actually start seeing.
It's like, oh, okay, it's not that
At least for me
complicated.
now, I can say it doesn't seem as complicated as I thought it would be.
You thought I had a hard task for you?
So the whole point that we're trying to make when it comes to this, we're just using this as a piece of furniture, as an ideal or an example of when you first get in your relationship, you're going to be just looking at the picture.
Yes.
You're going to be just looking at what it's supposed to look like, whether that's in an example of someone that you know, someone who's been in a relationship for a little while. You're just seeing the image and the picture of what that person.
So you mean that we can't model our life after an Instagram post?
You can, but it still may not be what you thought it was going to be.
Because you're just using the picture. You don't have all the details and all the instructions and all the dating. What we talked about in the episode was both of our friends that we interviewed, they've been married for 35 years. And it was amazing how when you get people together who have been married that long, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things that you do that you don't realize that it really does make a difference.
Right. And so when you're doing certain things, even in a relationship, so you want to follow the instructions, but you also want to make sure outside of the picture, what does this look like in real life?
Right.
You open up the book, and our book that we use for relationships.
It's the Bible!
So as a source and a direction, because the manufacturer pretty much knows how this piece of furniture is supposed to go together. I'm going to let that sit for a while.
Yes.
You can make the parallel. So if I follow the instructions in the paper, in the book, then more than likely, it's going to go together exactly like how it is supposed to, unless I alter or stray away from the instructions that are in the book.
And even the sequential order.
Even the sequential order. So when you do that, you are responsible for the results.
Yes. I love that.
So when we are putting this thing together, y'all, we doing this together so you can see following the instructions. I'm trying to do two things
and
at
it's a
one
whole
time.
bunch of pieces. And in the box, it looked real scary, y'all. Because when I opened the box, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to even try to do this.
Yep.
And even though you don't have to use any tools for this, it still requires a level of patience. And in a relationship, one person is going to always be more patient and more detail oriented than the other. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hey, thanks for being out here with us. Hey, tell us where you're coming from. Tell us where you're watching from. I don't have on glasses, so I can't see where you're coming from.
Well, put your glasses on.
Oh, yeah, duh, I do have my glasses. Yeah, I do. Okay, let's see who's on here. Hey, thank you for joining us. Hey, thank you. Please share this so other people can come on with us. We're going to be doing this not next Saturday night. We won't be here, so we will not have a live next Saturday night. we are going to be having fun. Now, we may pop in and surprise y'all, but we don't have a scheduled live for next Saturday.
Yep.
So we're putting something together. Where are you watching from? Tell us where you're watching from. Have you ever tried to put something together and you didn't read the instructions? Could you tell me if you did that? Would you tell me? So while Gil's doing that, I have a question. I don't know if you guys have been watching on Instagram. I have this thing where I say, hey, I have a question. So I have a question. So if you were a garment of clothing, which would you be? Number one, would you be a pair of stretch pants? And you know we love stretch pants because you know what stretch pants do? They give us an idea that we're in better shape than we are because you don't see anything. The other one would be spandex. And if those of you who know it, spandex makes you look smoother than you are because of all that compression. And then the last one would be a pair of blue jeans. Now, one thing about blue jeans, they don't lie to you. If you gain too much weight, blue jeans will tell you. So the first one would be basically stretch pants, which means you're going to lie to people. The second one will be the stretch pants, which means you fake. It's not real. Whatever you see is not real. And the third one is a pair of blue jeans where you're going to tell the truth and you're going to be honest and you're going to let them know. Because I know if I was going to be our garment of clothing, I would straight up be some blue jeans, y'all. So what would you be? Which garment would you be if you were one of those three garments? Or would you be a combination of those? Because I think at some point we've been all of those things. So that's just a sidebar. But we're talking about, do you read the instructions or do you live life on the edge and just fly by the end of your... And you know, when you're younger, there's things you can do when you're younger that as you get older, you realize, you know what? That didn't work. Oh, thank you for subscribing. If you guys subscribe, please put new subscriber. And I want you to do something for me. I know those of you who are really understand YouTube is no joke, y'all. We're not just doing this to entertain you. We're doing it because we know that so many people won't go to church and won't go to counseling. So we figure, hey, we will bring Rich Relationship Refuge to where people are at. And so when you share, when you like, when you comment, you subscribe, it helps us to get pushed out to more people who are just like you, who are in need. Thank you so much. Aww. Thank you. It's Jesus. It is, I always say it's prayer, fasting, and a plant-based lifestyle. But good loving is a part of it. And so we also have some other videos that kind of talk about nutrition and how we eat and how we live, because it really is a whole cohesive lifestyle. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Oh, yes, it's Jesus. Yeah. It is Jesus. And so we're excited about you guys seeing the episode. So like I said, we're on every podcasting platform, Rich Relationship Refuge. Please go and listen to our podcast because we're going to start bringing our exclusive content to our podcast and doing the lives here on YouTube so we can connect with you guys personally. Tell us where you're from. Tell me where you guys are from. Thanks for being on here with us tonight. We love you guys. Tell us where you're from. Tell us in the chat where you're from.
You see how I'm trying to bang that in? I'm trying to make it fit. Because guess what? You got to follow the instructions.
Yes.
So if you start working on something in your relationship and it don't seem like it's fitting, go back to the book.
Amen.
Go ahead and talk to me.
Yeah. So, because guess what? There's a reason why it's not fitting. And I think so many times there's so much about... Gil and I are 56, so we didn't have social media. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have cell phones. So a lot of the things that we learned, and even when we're talking to our friends, we learned by trial and error, and we learned by sitting under the feet of the Word of God and letting other people talk to us. So we thought that this would be a fun way to help.
For who?
Gil likes putting stuff together.
No pressure though.
And he's really gotten really good at it. Like he said, when we first got married, his mom said, don't let him put stuff together. Because we put something together, he's going to break something. And I said, you know what? I'm going to believe in my man. and I'm going to encourage him to do, because I think sometimes we don't realize that Just because something is spoken over you, it doesn't mean it's true.
You know, and if you think about that comment, even though my mom had the best intentions in mind,
She was trying to protect me.
but the thing is, she knew me and knew my history. And based on my history, she thought she needed to warn Renee of something, of one of my shortcomings.
She didn't want me to be
So do you have
disappointed.
somebody in your life that knows your history and may not be speaking the best light of you in your relationships? Well, in this context, she was right.
She was right. She was right. But at the same time, I had to take into consideration, like he said, she was talking based on who he was. And as his wife, it was my job to see who he could become. And so a lot of times we don't realize that we have a role in helping each other become the best version of ourselves. And it comes from us encouraging each other. It comes from us believing in each other. It comes from supporting each other. And so just know that the journey of marriage and relationship, it requires, I don't know if you guys saw the episode, Are You Too Selfish for Love? If you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. Because I think sometimes we can be too selfish to be in a relationship. You can't be too old. You can't be too young. But you can be too selfish to be in relationships. Because relationships requires selflessness. And in case you haven't figured it out, by ourselves, we are not. If you're selfish by your own, it's just your nature to be selfless. Put that in the chat. Because I know for me, I'm not selfish. Naturally, I am a selfish little monster.
See, and one thing that I just realized putting this together, I was thinking, hey, if I just do it this way, it should go together, right? Well, you know what? The book told me put the box together in the stand first. Wow. And then when you go to actually slide these little tubes on, because I had the tubes in first, and then I figured I'd just slide it down these little channels that's right there.
They're like, no, it's not
and
going to
it was going to go that way. Well, this thing just says, well, once you put the box together, just take your time, slide it in, and guess what?
So you mean you can't change the order of it? You can't decide you're going to do it
I'm going to do it my way.
Because,
I was doing it my way, and guess what? I was forcing it. I was pushing it down, and then when it don't work or it don't look like
you'll say, this thing didn't work.
It was wrong. The instructions were wrong. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, the instructions are only wrong when you don't apply them. If you use the instructions and you follow the instructions, look at that. He didn't have to press it and force it and make it go in. He followed the order that was instructed. And it actually, look at that. Wow. See, that's a whole message just right there. Just that there alone. So it's important to follow the instructions. And when you guys know what this is, you guys are going to be so excited. Because I'm going to show you all throughout the journey what it is.
I don't know about being excited, but I just know. See, so when I seen these little things, I was like, man, where does that go? If I just looked at the picture.
Go this way.
No. See? You see how she just did that? You see how she just did that? She took the part and put it the way she thought it was supposed to go.
Yeah, I did.
Well, you know what? The reason why the book didn't say that, because when you put it up this way, the next piece is going to go on top of it.
See? You gotta follow, not look at the way you think it's supposed to go. Because to me, it looked like it should go the other way.
Right.
But obviously, it's a reason why they have it set up to go the way they have it designed. Because it's other pieces that have to connect to this.
Yep.
Which there are other pieces that has to connect to this.
So,
how many of you guys are DIYers? You do projects and you create things. How many of you? Tell me. Put it in the chat. If you are a DIYer, if you like to put things together. I love projects. I like to cook. I like to sew. I like to garden. I like to do a lot of things. Tell me in the chat, what is something about you that people would not believe that you would like to do? One of the things that I think it always shocks people that I like to do is that I have a sewing machine. My neighbor, when we lived in Alabama, was 89 years old, and she had a Singer sewing machine, and she was about to get rid of it. And guess what I said? I want it. So I have a sewing machine that is from probably the 60s that I can sew through leather. So in the chat, tell me something about you that you like to do that is something that people wouldn't think that you like to do.
Right. So as you see, once you actually get it together.
Wow.
This is just a symbol of what we were talking about. While we were sitting here doing this live and talking, I'm looking at the instructions on how it is supposed to go. And the next thing you know, guess what, y'all?
It's together.
It's done.
It's together. And guess what this is, y'all? We're going to show you the rest of it. But this is a planter. I'm growing some tomatoes, and I've grown tomatoes before in a flatbed, but now we don't live in the country anymore. So I decided I wanted to grow my tomatoes in something that has a trellis around it, because tomatoes grow out of control. So Gil is putting this together so I can grow my tomatoes, and so I'm going to show you guys on different like Instagram and YouTube what they look like. So you guys get to see the beginning stages of me starting my Texas garden.
So we put this together, and you know what? When I looked at the picture on the cover, you think you know the way it's supposed to go. Just based on the picture and you see the parts, you're like, oh, I can just throw that together in about 5-10 minutes. Well, it's certain things that you have to do in order for it to go and assemble the right way, in order for it to function the way it was designed to function. So if you follow the instructions, next thing you know, it's going to function and work the way it was designed to function and work. So if you take that same concept and apply it to the relationship, that is going to apply, and it's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out.
Does that mean it won't be difficult? Does that mean it won't be work? Does that mean you won't have challenges? No, you're going to have difficulty. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But you have hope. And in the 35 years we've been married, I can say that we have had ups and downs and good days and bad days and highs and lows. But overall, I have so much more to be grateful for, because I'm sharing my life with someone that is not like me, someone that is different, but that brings different gifts and talents into our relationship. So when you're trying to get prepared for marriage, when you're trying to get prepared for dating, get to know you. You need to know what your growth areas are, what your strengths are. Like, I knew when I looked at that, this is going to be a Gil thing, because this is just not, it's not my thing.
You know, and so one thing that I was thinking about as I was just putting this next piece on was, I was like, if I just put it on there now, well, and then I thought about it. I'm started thinking my own way. Well, guess what I had to do?
We are prone to drift, and we are
I had to go back down and look at the instructions, because I just put these pipes in, but it says put on these caps first.
Wow.
Because once you put them on, you won't be able to take them off.
So some of the decisions you make, while you may be sorry for it,
you can't undo
it. And so we want to limit the amount of regrets that you have. Not that we know everything, not that we have all the answers, but we have been together with the same other person for actually since we were 18 years old. We started dating when we were 18. And we know a little bit about relationships. Our friends were asking us, we have our certificate, our initial training was through Community Bible Church, which is called Wise Counsel. It was a 13-week course we had to go through to actually begin to get training. And then we got our certification through Prepare and Enrich. So we've been with them for so long. Now we actually are trainers for them. So we're not just doing this because we've been married for 35 years. We're doing it because we also have the training, we have the passion, and we are really committed to helping people really understand why following the instructions, why having guidance, why having support, why having community is important.
Because, after you've been together for a little while, things are going to get a little bit more challenging. Things are going to get a little bit more difficult. And say you're just cruising along.
I think it's more difficult in the beginning.
Well, and this is what I'm getting at. What you think is how it's supposed to work. And I left this kind of funky looking right now for a reason. If you notice, you see how that is kind of angled outward and it's kind of fat. But if you look at this side, it's nice and flush and equal. Well, guess what I did, y'all? We got 2 sets of pipes.
Wow.
We got 2 sets of pipes, and you already see the difference. One is long and one is short. So they look alike, but if I take this short one and put it somewhere along when it's supposed to go, it's going to start looking kind of funky. It's going to start looking kind of weird. Or I put it out of place. Well, there are things and choices and decisions that you have to look at. Even though it looks alike, there's some of the similars in that decision, in that choice, that you're going to have to really take a close look. While they may look alike, guess what? They're not alike.
Wow.
So you're going to have to apply that same principle to your relationship to say, you know what? While Renee had an opportunity to take a position that she just shared a little while ago, while it looked like it was the right thing to do and the right choice and the right decision to make, well, she decided, no, I'm not going to take that. Well, opportunities happen and things happen to where if she had took that decision and it looked right,
Right.
But guess what? It was just a little out of place and out of timing in our life where we at right now. So she made the right choice to put it in its right spot in her life. So when she put it together and fitted it to her life, guess what? It was symmetrical.
Yeah, and what
And
I
it
said
worked.
was, so many times we say yes to a no, and then when the yes comes, we have to say no. We like to watch dating shows, and you see there was a couple that he wanted to really ask her to marry him, but she already had some other things that made him have to say no. So sometimes we can say yes to a no, and then when the yes come, we can't say yes to the yes. So before you make a decision, add up the costs. Think about it. Think about, we said it before, in light of your present future, in light of your present situation, your future hopes and dreams, and your past experiences. What is the wise choice? So what may look like, oh yeah, it's a good decision, but is it really when you add up the costs? And real good decisions should not be made hastily, and they should not be made quick, and they should not be made without you thinking about all of those things.
So I'm gonna finish putting this together, but this is the base of what it looks like
Yay!
in right form, in right context, and in this 26 minutes that we've been sitting here talking, everything looks the way it's supposed to
Yes,
look.
and it's sturdy. And it is a tomato trellis. So I've grown tomatoes before, and I know that if you don't have something for them to grow onto, they will lean to the side and they will be all over the garden. And so this is a way to help the tomatoes grow up nice and strong.
And have some order and some structure.
Yes.
And some discipline.
And so we're gonna have some tomatoes, and I'm gonna show you guys the tomatoes too.
So we hope you got something out of this, because I gotta finish putting this thing together. It's not that much. I'll be done here in the next 10 minutes. But the whole point to this whole little live that we're doing with you guys right now is to follow the instructions in your relationship. And that instructions that we believe is the Bible.
Yes.
The Bible will give you the exact instructions that you need for whatever you may be going through in your relationship.
But people always say that, life doesn't come with instructions and kids don't come with instructions. I beg to differ. The Bible has an instruction for every facet of your life, but so many times, like I say, if you don't ask, you don't want to know. If we ask God to give us instruction, if we ask him to give us guidance, he will. And everything you go through in life, there is an answer for it that the Bible has already provided for.
And the last point I'll make before we sign off is, as I'm sitting here thinking about putting the rest of this together, and I see the parts and I see how it's supposed to look and I see how it's supposed to go together, I think I got it. But guess what? I'm not going to throw the instructions away because I think I got it.
Right.
I'm going to still keep them around and consult them as I still move through the assembling of this thing. So as you still are assembling your relationship, are you still putting it together? Keep going back to the instructions to make sure you're putting the right pole in the right spot in your structure.
And the right order at the right time, considering everything.
Because when you do that, guess what? It's going to be real solid.
Yep.
That means your relationship is going to be really solid.
Yep. And that's what we help you do, have healthy, rich relationships.
So
remember, we're going to not go live next Saturday because we're going to be hanging out with our friends. But the podcast episode that we did with them today, we will actually put it up
next week.
Oh, yeah, next week on every podcasting.
So you'll be watching them instead of us.
Yeah, so every podcasting episode will be on every podcasting platform. Plus, our videos will be here on YouTube. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you for spending time with us. I love you guys. You guys are like the best ever. And so please share this video, comment, leave feedback. Let us know you love it, you hate it. And we just want to be a part of your community. We want to help you to have practical ways to have healthy, rich relationships.
Check out the box, y'all.
Yep.
Love you guys.
Talk to you guys later. See you guys 2 weeks from now.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. I always forget this part. Okay. I always forget how to cut it off, y'all. There you go. Da-da-da-da.